It's Saturday again, and I'm no longer trapped within a 5-mile radius of work, so I'm back out here. And it seems like a good day. It's in the 60s, it's pretty clear, Southern California, so that's pretty typical. So plans for the day: gonna head back down Malibu Canyon Road, and I'm gonna explore its more eastern side after the intersection with Mulholland. Just a curiosity. I wanted to see it. Don't jump in front of me. Thank you. No car show here today. So a couple of small changes to the bike since the last video. I think I was talking about the handlebars. I got those installed. I'm not a mechanic by any means, and you don't have to be to put on new handlebars. Just poke around and make sure you know what you need for the job. But as I was saying, I wanted bars that are a little lower, maybe a little wider, to get more weight over that front wheel and get my arms extended a little more. And I did get that. I put these rental ultra lows on, and I put some new grips on, some D3 grips from Driven, and rental bar ends as well. And I'm adapted to it now. I did it about a week ago. When I first transitioned from the OEM bar to the new bar, there's a pretty big difference. I mean, not huge. I don't know if someone observing the angle of my torso would pick it up, but it felt quite a bit different. Especially with the width of my arms. I always had a tendency to grab the bars really wide because that was the most comfortable place for me, and my hands are often off the bars. So having 3 centimeters extra on each side compared to OEM is helpful and more comfortable for me. And it is lower too. I'm leaning a bit more forward. There's more weight over the front end. I feel like I have more control over that front tire. If I really turn the throttle quick, it's not as jumpy. You know, I can take some weight off of it more easily and let the front lift if I want to, but there's more of a natural weight placed over the front with this new positioning. Unfortunately, I heard that Rizoma has some bars that are actually a few centimeters lower than these, but they're not quite drag bars. I wish I had known about those, and I may actually I'll try these for a while. I might actually pick those up to try those out as well in the future, because changing these bars out is a pretty quick project. Other than, you know, the drill, it's just regular basic tools will get you through. There's this awesome view again. I love these things say emergency stopping only. That's quite an emergency stop. I think that just gives a reason for cops to pull over and check you out. In this snobbish area. It's disturbing. I don't know what this guy's doing, but he is not helping the cause at all. So one thing that's helpful about making these videos is I can look back on my riding when I'm off the bike, I'm trying to analyze a little bit to see what I'm doing. And what I noticed is I'm missing the apex of the turn like a lot. Especially in these turns around here where they can be almost like a double apex, or it's a long continuous turn. But one thing I do, and I suspect a lot of newer riders do this too, is I select the apex way too early. So my initial impression of the apex is too short, and I wind up having to straighten the bike up and then bend it back over once I reselect the correct apex. But that would be the kind of thing that would be really nice to practice on the track. So the handlebars are done. I feel more control of the front end. I may go a bit lower. I don't think I want to quite go with the drag bar or clip-ons. But that's part of the fun, is playing with it. These things are pretty cheap, relatively speaking. I know $50-100 isn't nothing. But for a modification to an automobile, that's especially when you're used to dealing with cars, that's cheap. Anyway, next things, these huge pumpkin blinkers I have. I don't know if you can see them here. They have to go. I thought I was going to keep them on initially, but there's just way too much orange and gold and silver going on here. And the levers, with the new handlebars, the new grips, new bar ends, classing up the front a little bit. These big ass levers that I have here just don't fit in, and I'd rather have a color that's not silver too in this mix. So I ordered some Pazzo titanium color with gold switch attachments to it. It should match the bar ends and fit in with a lot of the gray parts in the bike, I'm thinking. And I'd like to get some rear sets as well. I'd like my feet maybe just a little further back if possible. See if I can get in a position that's a little more aggressive. Like I said, it'd be nice to track this bike someday because it's cheaper, and you know, after I learn on it, instead of trading it in or selling it, I may just keep it as something that would be cheaper to repair than something I might upgrade to in the future. And I think it'd be a lot of fun too, as long as I get myself, and suspension would be necessary, of course. So I turned up the preload a little bit on this FZ07. Is this my, yeah, this is Mulholland, so here's the exploration phase. Never been past it before. As always, it's all jammed up around here. But no need to go at an extremely lively pace when I don't know the road at all. Welcome to Calabasas. So yeah, as I mentioned, like 6'2", somewhere between 195 and 205 pounds about. With gear, it's more than that, obviously. And people on the FZ07 forums, they seem to always ask, instead of actually setting their sag per protocol, they're looking for a chart, you know, what's best. I think the problem is, well, I mean, you can go by protocol numbers, but for me, the feel is more important than following any protocol, especially when it comes to something that involves, you know, some danger, and, you know, just looking at a chart and going with that. It's a good place to start, but I want to know how the bike handles, especially when I'm going at a bit higher speed around corners, mid-quarter bumps, rapid elevation changes on the road, little jumps in the road, if you will. because the bike has a lot of bounce in it. At the same time, if it's too stiff, then you might wind up skipping over bumps and losing contact with the ground. Your tire loses contact with the ground, so that's where a softer suspension would help. You gotta find somewhere that fits your riding style and your weight. At least that's my impression. So I got this thing turned up to 8 right now. It's 9 is the highest preload. I know it's not going to help anything with the rebound, so I probably still want to bounce it around a little bit. But in any event, long-term suspension is in the cards, particularly if I plan on bringing this thing to the track, which I almost inevitably will, because that seems like it's a big part of the fun. I'm not looking to get into any racing or anything. If it happens naturally, then fine, but... And by racing, I mean just with a bunch of schmucks like myself, but... it'd just be nice to be in an area with no cars so I can actually practice on the bike and go at a decent speed without worrying about whose bumper I'm going to hit or what's going to happen if the road conditions. There's a huge pothole in front of me. All that stuff drives you crazy. So last video, I almost ran into a guardrail because I was talking when I should have been concentrating. And since then, I've heard some other motovloggers comment that you should learn how to ride before you start talking on the road, and I think that's pretty wise. You know, there's always a threshold. You know, how many years, you know, should you be riding for before you start talking? I talk naturally on this bike. I talk to myself, which is why I just put a mic on the camera. People back home can see the videos, see what I'm up to. At least hear my voice. I talk to them so little on the phone, so it's nice. But when I know that there's a video with audio coming out of this, I do extend my focus on what's coming out of my mouth and less on the road itself. If I'm talking to myself naturally. If I'm talking to myself naturally, I naturally shut up because my concentration shifts to where it should be. So I don't have that competition for my attention when I know no one's gonna be listening to what I'm saying. This road's not really turning out to be anything nice. Kind of blows so far. Anyway, the grips. Just getting a grip with a thicker diameter if you have hands that are a little on the larger side, I think will make you feel better too. They're so cheap. You can get grips anywhere from, you know, $5-6 all the way up to probably $60-70. Why does everyone in LA look like they smoke crack? Everyone's like underweight and just gaunt and it's just not good. Whoever said sickly skinny is attractive? It wasn't me. I would think that our instinct would lead us towards women that look like they're capable of reproducing. You know, considering evolution and all. When people don't have enough protein intake to keep their hair unfrizzed, that's a concern. And I don't think instinct should lead us towards that. You want a girl with some hips, a butt, some boobs, you know, someone that can actually support a developing child. Anyway, for anybody in FZ07 that's about 200 pounds, I can say that, and you do some city riding mixed with some canyon riding, I can say that the setting of 8 works pretty well for me. 7 felt good too. And I'll try to comment as I go along here, because I haven't really played around yet. We'll see. So I don't know how many of you have gone through the helmet fit paranoia that I have, but I did read that a helmet should be pretty tight before I actually went out and bought one. I did some basic research. That was one of the first things I bought for the MSF course. And I was told that the Shoei Quest that was right in between a medium and a large shell. And I think like most people I opted for the larger one in fear that my head would be crushed like a vice, which is I think a fear that isn't well supported. And then after the helmet, broke in, and I, read even more and stumbled across articles and videos about helmet fit. I came to realize that my helmet may be a little on the loose side. So right near the zygomatic arch, like just your cheeks, in the cheek area, it's not compressed the way I see most people's cheeks when they're putting on a helmet that supposedly fits well. My girlfriend's got a good size. She's got a small on, and she actually complains it feels a little too tight. And the thing with her is she's a borderline between a small and a medium shell. She went with the small, and of course with the standard face pads inside of that. And I kind of did the opposite. I was between a medium and a large, and I went to large. Just because I'm a guy and I have testosterone and I have to be a douche, everything has to be bigger. Oh, fuck. So I actually went out and measured my own head because I didn't measure it before actually going, which I should have. And I am, like, dead center between a medium and a large shell, according to the fit guide for a Shoei. But I think anybody, if you find yourself riding a borderline, what I would do is get a smaller shell. I mean, just for weight and just not be cumbersome. So err on the smaller shell side, and then if you feel it's too uncomfortable after the pads break in the helmet, feel it's too uncomfortable, just go with the smaller cheek pads that you can buy. So I like these handlebars better in corners. I can just lean into it more. In terms of putting more, just the counter steering feels better to me. And maybe it's just my whole body position that feels more comfortable. See, missed the apex again. I had no idea what thing was. Where is it? Like here? Way off. I mean, it's total miss. Yeah, this setting of 8 initially, right now, feels a little better than it did at 7 for my weight. You okay there?
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that if I scared you. Okay? You okay?
Yeah, seriously, it's all good.
All right.
Yeah, no. Total timing, that's all it was.
I know, my fault. It happened to me too last week.
Oh, dude. No big deal. Thanks for stopping though.
Sure. Poor guy. Didn't happen to me last week at all. I just wanted to make him feel a little better. I can say that I've come close to that happening, so that's good enough. He's walking. You didn't break anything. See that FedEx van. That could be a life changer right there. Be careful on these roads with houses and businesses. Safest place to enjoy yourself is a place that's desolate. And if you do happen to crash in a desolate place, then at least you can die alone. It'll be peaceful. And if it's painful, you can always take the cyanide capsule that belongs in every motorcycle rider's kit. I'm joking, of course, but sometimes people can be weird. Hello, sir. Hello. FedEx. Those points where you just gotta stick with it. I came in that corner too hot. Another thing I'm noticing that I'm doing wrong is I'm putting too much weight in my hands, even before the handlebar thing, when I'm maneuvering the bike. I really have to keep reminding myself to use my thighs to support myself on the bike and use my hands just to gently manipulate the handlebars. Yeah, I noticed I'm trying to muscle the bike around. I think it's natural instincts, but it's totally unnecessary. I mean, using your feet to take on the weight, support the weight of your torso, having your legs do the work is where it's at. But once again, when you feel like you're pushing yourself a little bit, you tend to go back to your instincts. And your reasoning isn't quite as clear. Watch out for these rocks in the roads over here. It's not a reasonable place to park. You don't get that reference? So I figured I just wanted to show the handlebars for anyone who cares. So I got the gold version there. And their reasoning, as I mentioned last time, was they just, they look more interesting. If not completely matching. Let's see if you can see the rise here, which probably doesn't look substantially different, but held up side by side to the OEM. It's got a lower rise. There's the grips. They actually work quite well. And they're pretty good. Maybe if I add another couple of gold touches elsewhere, they'll fit in a little better. I think the adjusters for the new levers will help incorporate them a little better. It's a nice view. So it's a shame when you have those electrical wires running through a pristine valley like this. I guess the alternative is no electricity, so what the fuck. Fun road. These cars blasting around here. There's Porsches. Let's look at these guys. Wow. Nice. Miata Club. You gotta respect people who ride around on Miatas, because they're clearly not self-conscious. The kind of person you probably want to hang out with. Because they're not going to call you 6 times, ask them what fucking jeans they should wear before you leave the house. Yeah, the preload setting of 8 feels better to me. It's just not moving around so much in the corners and the bumps when I hit them. Oh great, I'm on Decker. I didn't want this. Those markers in the road, man, they can throw you off. Let's get rid of those. that Gyne machine at the gym? The one with the leg squeezers? Man, it looks like fucking oil nerd. The one that every guy avoids. Because it's effectively a Kegel exercise. I think that would probably be helpful for people who like to ride bikes. Hanging onto that tank. I hate to tell you, but next time you go to the gym, you gotta get that Kegel machine going. That's right. You can wear your motorcycle jacket and your helmet if that makes you feel better about it, but get those Kegels. Get them. The Miata is moving. Oh my god. I don't know what happened with my suspension there, but it felt a little funny in that corner. Fortunately, I wasn't going too fast. I just hope that if I go down in this road, I can crawl out of the road. That's all I really ask for. Look at this guy. Now this is his first time to the parade, clearly. Look at that. Pull out your cameras, folks. I think he's got his Sony handheld and he's recording this whole journey. Thank you, sir. It's kind of you. Appreciate that. Oh, look at the road down there. Jesus, it's like a mini Stelvio Pass. Kind of helps to glance ahead if you can see the road down there, because then you get a general idea what kind of speed you can carry. In this case, very little. I can see is at least 280 degrees coming up on me, like this one. And you don't want to be drifting into the other lane when you're pulling that. And they're pretty narrow too. I'm like, any slow up, be coming to a fucking stop. Good old Decker. A little tight for my taste. I like it loose, just a little bit loose. Pun intended. All right. That's what it's all about. Have a little lunch, enjoy the beach, have a great ride home. How can you not love this? Is that even possible? Is there a path of some type leading up here? Let's see. Go watch that bike too. Okay, I just realized that the lens turned to shit. As I was taking the camera off my head, I had this film all over it and a dead bug was dead center. So I don't know if any of you guys saw this. Helmet's off, I clean the lens and this is why I ride out here. As you can imagine, this is very different from the day-to-day in LA. There's the beach, in case that turned into a blur for you as well. There's Point Mugu State Park. A lot of hiking trails up there. A lot of them will overlook the ocean. Really nice. Not too far from LA. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the scenery. And as always, thanks for tolerating the shitty riding. But it's all about the fun, and there's plenty of fun, right? See you next time.